What is going on, everybody? It is Dylan with Astrodfs bringing you a brand new video. Today's video, I'm going over Week 7's quarterbacks and running back player pool that I have. So as you can see at the top right of the screen, I have Cash Bible Value Tournament Smash. Smash is for subscribers. That drops on Sunday, so if you guys are interested in that, click the link in the description. That'll take you to our Discord, and you can get the information from there. So Patrick Mahomes is my first cash play at 8,300, averaging 21.2 fantasy points, DraftKings fantasy points a game, and Chargers allowing the highest 24.1. It's a big division game, right? It always is between Mahomes and Herbert now, usually always becoming classic games. For some reason, this is not a primetime game. It's an afternoon game, which is still baffling to me, but Kansas City having the 5th best PFF pass block advantage, the highest team total on the slate, and Patrick Mahomes having the I believe it's the highest floor, right? 15.2 is where that's at. That's his lowest game so far this season. The thing that's kind of hurt Patrick Mahomes is their defense is so good that he doesn't have to go and throw 400 yards and 4 touchdowns just for them to win a game. The way their defense is playing, they don't have to do that anymore. They can run the ball efficiently. Why Isaiah Pacheco's having a really good year. So Patrick Mahomes, I do believe, is one of the safer, good cash plays on the slate. Arguably, he's that high in salary. So I can understand with the good running back plays this week to not go Mahomes, kind of go Geno or Russ. But Mahomes is definitely worth paying up for this week. Josh Allen I have as a tournament play going against New England. They do have a positive PFF pass block advantage. 5th highest team implied total on the slate. A lot of injuries both offensively and defensively for New England. But Josh Allen has struggled against New England in the past. We've seen him kind of struggle up and down so far this year as well. So that's why I have him as a tournament play. Obviously, averaging 24.1 DraftKings points a game. But New England, still holding on strong there. Lamar at 7,600 is another tournament play for me against Detroit. 6th best PFF pass block advantage. Always has that rushing upside. Detroit's been able to hold opposing quarterbacks and running backs to a very small rushing yards per attempt, so that's something that is concerning and why I don't have him as a cash play. But Lamar in 2 games has played good against the NFC North, being Detroit and Minnesota. His numbers against the NFC North are good, so look at this. Could be a game where we finally get to see Baltimore excel in the pass game. We've yet to see it. We heard so much in the offseason of how their pass game was going to be really good. We have yet to see it. So Lamar is a tournament play for me. I don't think he'll end up as a cash player pool. Geno Smith, though, is definitely going to be a cash play this week. At 6,000, obviously you can see his fantasy points. DraftKings fantasy points a game, 15.3, but Arizona allowing 21.5. It's a big division game. Every time you get a division game, usually the games are closer, they're tougher, they're unpredictable at times because they do have huge implications regardless of how good or bad teams are. But Seattle has the 3rd highest team implied total. Arizona, the 4th most passing yards allowed. And like I said, at 6,000 against Arizona, I really like Geno Smith this week. Jordan Love I have as another cash play, right? I think he's lower owned than Geno, Russ, and Mahomes. But at 5,800 going against Denver, who's been a bottom 5 defense in almost every category so far this year. Obviously, Jordan Love has struggled since the beginning of the season where he looked really good. Hopefully, Aaron Jones is back, so I believe he is a huge plus to that offense. We've kind of seen that offense struggle without him. So 5,800, Denver allowing 23.2 DraftKings points a game to opposing quarterbacks. 3rd best PFF pass block advantage, top 10 team implied total, and I have Green Bay's offense as one of the best matchups of the week. So 5,800, I really like Jordan Love. Daniel Jones, I have as a tournament play this week. It seems like he won't play, but if he does at 5,600, I really like Daniel Jones. against Washington as a tournament play. I believe he can have huge upside. I do not like Tyrod Taylor, only Daniel Jones as a Giants quarterback this week. Russ at 5,400, right? His price is just too cheap for what he's done so far this season. 19.2 DraftKings points a game. Obviously, paying down at Russ allows you to pay up for some of the really good running backs this week. Pay up for Kelsey if you wanted to get Mahomes' best guy, right, in that matchup. Top 10 PFF pass block advantage, top 10 team implied total, and Russ averaging 21.9 DraftKings points a game at home so far this season. So that's a lot of huge pluses there for Russ. At 5,400, a 20 fantasy point game is huge at that salary. Baker Mayfield I have as a value play against Atlanta. One of the main reasons is they have the best PFF pass block advantage this week, and Atlanta's allowing 10 passing touchdowns so far this year in 6 weeks, so that's something to look forward to as well. Baker averaging 16 fantasy points a game, which is huge. Atlanta allowing 16, so kind of on track as far as that. Jimmy G being out, Justin Fields being out allows some value plays down here. But before we get there, Kenny Pickett at 5,000 I have as a value play going against the Rams, who I think the Rams defense is definitely overvalued of what they actually are. Granted, Pittsburgh has one of the worst offenses. The way the play calling is there is just terrible. I feel bad for them. They have a lot of talent there, just not being used properly. But Kenny Pickett gets Deontay Johnson back, which is a huge plus. And you're paying $5,000 for quarterback in a favorable matchup, in my opinion. That offense has just got to get better play calling. But the values here, that could be Brian Hoyer, Aiden O'Connell, depending on who's starting, could be a huge value. I prefer Aiden O'Connell just because he's younger. He can move more than Brian Hoyer can. And the price, $200. So look to see who the starter is. It seems like it's Brian Hoyer, but it doesn't mean that Aiden O'Connell is ruled out of starting. And then Tyson Bagent starting for the Bears. I don't really have interest there as of right now. If he was cheaper, I'd like it, but at 4,900, just not there. So now we go to running backs. Josh Jacobs at 7,400, probably one of the more favorable running back matchups this week. We saw him without Jimmy G against the Chargers, and he ended up with 8 receptions, 11 targets. Best game so far of the season. Bears allow the most receiving yards to running backs this year, so that's another plus for Josh Jacobs, and he's just getting a lot of volume, not just inside the 20 to 20, but in the red zone as well. So 7,400 Josh Jacobs, I believe it's a really good game script for him. Bijan I have as a tournament play at 7,300. Atlanta's usually always going to have a great run block advantage. I just prefer Josh Jacobs or paying down for Ken Walker here than I do Bijan at his price and what he's been able to do with Tyler Algier being there, Cordell Patterson being used, Ritter being the quarterback. It's just not as good as I'd like it to be. But Ken Walker at 7,000, another cash play, another really good play. Second best PFF run block advantage. 6 touchdowns in the last 4 games on a 4-touchdown streak at that. Arizona's allowed 9 total touchdowns to running back so far this year, and just getting a lot of volume, not just only in the pass game, but the run game as well. So Ken Walker at 7,000, I really like this week against Arizona. Like I said, a huge division game for Seattle. It could be a really good spark and allow them to close in on San Fran, who, although they have a really good game this week and only lost 1 game, but getting those wins, especially with the team like the Rams playing the way they're playing, could be a really good game for Seattle. Jahmyr Gibbs, another cash play for me. Obviously, David Montgomery is out this week, but Craig Reynolds is questionable. He's been questionable this week. Would see some more snaps going Jahmyr Gibbs' way with Craig Reynolds being questionable. I think Reynolds will end up playing. But it's not the greatest matchup, right? Baltimore only allowing 19.3, which is not that bad considering if Jahmyr Gibbs gets a majority of that volume. Somewhere around 15 to 20 fantasy points out of Jahmyr Gibbs being used in the pass game especially well is something huge. And him having a top 10 PFF run block advantage is another plus at 6,300 for Jahmyr Gibbs this week. 6,100, Pacheco is a tournament play, right, going against the Chargers. Chargers allowing 24.4, so that's really good. Obviously, having the highest team applied total, a top 10 run block advantage, getting a lot of volume, especially in the receiving game last week. That was huge for Pacheco. So Pacheco I have as a tournament, might end up going to cash, but I doubt we get there in cash. Brian Robinson, another tournament play, $300 cheaper than Pacheco. This game is probably going to be ugly, right? The bookmakers have it as a close game. Neither team really crazy offensively or defensively. Sorry. Giants, a lot of offensive injuries, which could lead to Washington getting the ball more, and Brian Robinson getting more volume. So at 5,800, right, he can easily not succeed with Antonio Gibson and Rodriguez getting some volume. But I believe it's one of those games to where Brian Robinson can succeed. Things favor him quite a bit. Ramondre Stevenson, $200 cheaper at 5,600, going against Buffalo this week. Bills defense allowing almost 900 total yards to running back so far this season. That's crazy. That's a crazy high number. Obviously, they lose one of the best linebackers in the league, so that's a plus for Stevenson. Needs a volume, right? Ezekiel Elliott's been getting some more volume, but Ramondre, if he gets that volume, I think in this game, he could definitely succeed, especially in the receiving game. So look for Ramondre in my player pool at 5,600 as a really good tournament play. Jerome Ford at 5,100 going against Indy. Kareem Hunt questionable. That's something huge if Kareem Hunt ends up being out. Indy allowing 24.2 fantasy points a game to running back. So Jerome Ford is pretty much that lead back and getting a lot of that, right? He's averaging 13.8 fantasy points a game, and that's with Kareem Hunt getting volume as well, right? 7 total rushing touchdowns, not total, just rushing touchdowns allowed by Indy. So that's something that also favors Ford in this matchup, and just getting a lot of volume, right? 15 plus opportunities a game is huge for running back in today's NFL. Consistently getting that. So 5,100, I'm okay with playing Jerome Ford this week. Deontay Foreman, another value play for me with Roshan already being ruled out. And a backup quarterback is something that favors running backs, just getting checkdowns and stuff like that. Be interesting to see Evans and Travis Homer if they're used this week, but he got 15 rushing attempts last week. I think 15 for 65 is what his stat line was. Sorry again. Obviously, he burned some people last week if you played him. I did not, thankfully. I went with Chuba instead, and that one paid off. But I believe it's a really good bounce back opportunity for him. Like I said, with a backup quarterback, Vegas having a backup quarterback, it's going to be an ugly game. Look for someone like Deontay Foreman to get a decent amount of volume. And then last but not least, Zach Evans at 4,000 going against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh allowing 24.7 DraftKings points to running backs. We saw how much Kyren Williams was used. Now, he did play good. I don't believe he was great, but did play really good. The only thing that's concerning is Myles Gaskin is going to be on the roster, so expect him to see some type of volume. Right, he could overtake Zach Evans, but at 4,000, you don't need Zach Evans to do a lot. You need him to get maybe 10 fantasy points, and he easily pays off. And allows you to pay up at other positions. So I think with his ownership, Zach Evans is pretty much a free play this week. Unless some news changes between now and tomorrow, Zach Evans is a free play. So I hope you guys did enjoy. Like I said, if you want the Smash Plays, just click the link for our Discord, and you can see what our subscription package offers. So if you guys are interested in that, link will be in the description. And I will see you in tomorrow's videos going over wide receiver, tight end, and defense. So I will see you guys then.